All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call this September 8th, 2022 hearing of the Code Enforcement Special Magistrate for the Town of Fort Myers Beach to order. And any comments from the staff as we start out?
Do you want to do your spiel?
I can do my open?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
do
go
your
ahead.
opening,
Okay.
And then we'll start.
All right. Normally I would go longer with this, but since we have a small group, basically the way this room's set up is if you come up to testify about it, you would go to that podium, correct? The one to my right?
Correct.
Yeah. So when you come to testify, you'll go to the podium to my right. The town will present from the podium to my left. When you step up to the podium, we'd request that you give us your name and the spelling of your name as well as your address and why you're here. The whole goal of this process is really to, and we were talking about this a little bit before we went into session, but is really to comply, get compliance with the laws of the state and the town to try and make the community better for everybody. These hearings are what are called quasi-judicial in nature, so they're sort of like a court, but a little bit less formal. The big thing is making sure that you as the respondent get due process, that you're able to be heard, that you have a notice of what you're being charged with, and that the only thing that we're going to be discussing here today is what was noticed to you on the citation and the notice of hearing. A little bit of the basic process. The decision I'm going to make today is solely based on the evidence that is going to be presented here today by the town and by yourself. So I'm going to be making the decision solely based on that. And had no prior knowledge of this case. That's not what I'm here for. There's been no outside of hearing communications about this case, neither from you nor from staff. The proceedings here are recorded, and so if you ever decide to appeal this decision, which you have the right to appeal this decision to a court of competent jurisdiction, as it's called, to the circuit court, you need to have that record. You need to have it transcribed. Everything will be under oath, so as you step up to testify, I'm going to be swearing you in. You have the right to call and examine witnesses. If you've got witnesses, you can introduce your own exhibits. You can cross-examine the town's witnesses. You can impeach those witnesses and rebut the evidence. You can object to questions being asked or to evidence being presented. You have the right to be represented by counsel if you chose. The town's going to present their case first, I believe, that's the proceeding, and then it'll be your turn to put on your case. There can be oral testimony, sworn under oath. There's going to be other kind of evidence put forth, pictures, documents, and things like that. The documents and other evidence that will be used by either side have to be shared with the other side. No surprises, no gee whiz, I just found you, running around naked in the backyard. That's not gonna be what we're gonna show. You have to share your evidence. The town has to share their evidence with you and vice versa. The only evidence I'm going to consider is that's relevant, which I deem to be relevant. Talking about things that have nothing to do with this case and this particular violation I'm not going to find that to be relevant. I probably will request that it no longer be presented. And that only thing I'm going to consider is evidence that proves or disproves the violation your organization is accused of. The other thing that's going to be relevant is whether there's been multiple violations or whatever, so that's a relevant thing. When evidence is presented, I'm going to be the one that decides whether to admit it into evidence. Test of evidence here is not like in court where it has to be admissible under the rules of evidence. Here it's more, that's the type of evidence that normal people would rely on and how they judge things in their normal course of business. Regardless of whether there's any evidentiary rule or whatever that says it couldn't be admitted in a court. Hearsay evidence, which is evidence that's given by a witness that says not what they know personally, but what others told them or what's been said by others, is admissible in these kinds of cases, unlike in court. In court, there are certain exceptions, but in court, generally, hearsay is not admissible. Here, it can be used only for the purpose of supplementing or explaining any real direct evidence. I couldn't make a decision solely based on hearsay in this case, so it can't go either way. The real gist of the matter here is what is going to happen is the town's going to present their case. You're going to present your arguments, and the town has the burden of proof in this matter. So they have to show by a preponderance of the evidence, which is basically a 49% test, a preponderance of what's called substantial competent evidence. They have to present that amount of evidence for me to be able to decide in their favor. If you present they don't do that, then you win. So that's really how this whole process works. If I do find you in violation, if I find your organization in violation, I'm going to issue an order today that will lay out what the penalties are. In order to determine that, the amount that the order is going to be, first there's statutory restrictions, and then I'll consider the gravity of the violation, actions you've taken to correct it, and any previous violations that have been committed. Really, that is what we're looking at today. So with that further said, we can call the first case.
Okay, Magistrate Neal, again, welcome. Thank you for that. We're going to go through the agenda one by one in numerical order and give a little explanation of what's going on with that case. Number one on the agenda was Crescent Shore Condo Association. The violation is the same as all the violations on here, a violation of our sea turtle conservation regulations. This property owner is working towards compliance, so we are continuing that matter. Number two is carousel. So if you'd like to come up, you can go over here. The violation of this is the same as the violation of Chapter 32, the sea turtle conservation. I will add at this point that the carousel also is number 3 on our agenda, and we are dismissing that. So I'll go ahead and bring that up. Once this case is over, then I will do a brief explanation of what's going on with all the other cases that are on the agenda. At this time, the town is going to ask for an order of violation. The citation amount is $250. The admin fees are $125. But in light of the conversation that we had prior to this, the property owner has asked that Chad come and do a re-inspection tonight. And what the town is going to ask for is that if compliance is found at that inspection, then this will be dismissed. If compliance is not found, then we ask for the payment of the citation amount of $250 and the admin fees of $125 if it is not in compliance when Chad does his inspection tonight. And with that, Chad?
Yes. Well, in order to potentially expedite the hearing, if what Ms. Saunders indicated is acceptable to the property owner, the property owner's representative, I mean, we certainly can provide Mr. Schutz's testimony, but the underlying information is already in the file. If all the property owner is asking for is a reinspection and an agreement that if the property fails, then the citation and the fine amount will have to be paid, then we think we can dispense of the hearing unless the property owner wants us to go through those steps. But if it's just to ask for time for compliance and the property owner admits to the violation, I think the town will stipulate to that and dispense with presenting Mr. Schutz's testimony.
I'd be more than happy to accept if you're willing to accept the stipulation of that nature, then I would be more than happy to
absolutely
enter that order.
Magistrate, you had mentioned kind of an issue of a win or a lose. That's not why I'm here. I'm not here to beat anybody. We're town taxpayers. We're a good business. Been here a long time. We love sea turtles. I have a sea turtle on my bracelet. It's been there for 2 years. I'm here to give our business the opportunity to have a reinspection. I think what occurred here, and this isn't to make anyone or any of us look poorly. When we had originally been issued the one citation that's still at hand, and I don't want to speak on the other one because it's been dismissed. It's no longer an issue that needs to be brought up. This was a violation that we were not aware was a violation. So the moment that we received it as a business, Literally the next day, I was on the phone with the town hall leaving messages for Mr. Schutz. I didn't realize he was, I believe, out of town at the time for a few days. I emailed, I have copies of all 4 emails that were unresponded to asking for, please, can you swing by the hotel so we can look at this? Because this is a violation that we're not aware of. This was a way of us doing business for 60 years that had never been brought to our attention that there was an issue with interior lighting, because we've had our sea turtle bulbs up there since 1964. So this was a new issue. The challenge is that it wasn't that I was contesting what was going on. I was contesting what this picture is of, that we are being cited for and recited for. And I had mentioned that in my email chain, I need clarification, please, to understand what it is I'm looking at here. I don't even know what part of the building this is.
And just for your information, for your edification, what I would request as the magistrate, in order for that picture to be admitted into evidence, is I would have to get Mr. Schutz's testimony or someone's testimony as to what it was, when it was taken, what it was intended to prove.
And that's all I
So
had been requesting.
And so just for your further, future reference, when that kind of evidence is presented to me, I always require that the whoever's proffering the evidence, whether it's the town or you, I require that they provide me authentication of that picture. You can't, I had another case the other day where somebody came up with a picture of an animal and said it had been attacked. Well, they couldn't justify when it was attacked, where it was attacked, and I couldn't admit the evidence. So it has to be, somebody would have to tell me what that is, because I can't tell what it is either,
There's
so.
no time or date, and I
so-
live here, I don't even know a part of my house.
So understand that, just so you know, from a procedural point of view, what I would require, and what frankly, the law would require, is that would have to be authenticated by the proffering that
This
evidence.
is the remaining citation at hand, is this photo that we're asking for clarification of and a reinspection of, is all we would like the
Well,
opportunity to do.
here's what I would propose as an order then, and since it's going to be a stipulation, both parties are gonna have to agree, I'm gonna present it, and then if that's not the terms that you understand that you agree upon, and you want to modify those terms, then we can work on it. So what I would do, excuse me, is enter an order that finds you in violation, that you were in violation of section 32-106 of the Town of Fort Myers Code by having visible interior lights, and that's just so in case you want to look it up, it's section C of that code. So, but that you're in violation of that section of the code, and that accordingly you would be assessed a fine of $250 plus operational costs of $125 for the prosecution of the case. However, that fine will be held that violation finding will be held in abeyance, subject to a re-inspection to be held tonight. If the re-inspection reveals that you are not in violation tonight, that no lights are visible, then that violation will be while the violation will still be there, the fine and cost will be waived, and you will not have to pay them. So is that acceptable? Okay, is that acceptable to the town?
Yes.
Sounds like the carousel's on probation now, till,
You're essentially on double secret probation for tonight, so,
we understand that.
all right? So if you're agreeable to that, I will so order, as recited before, and I will make that order, and you'll get a copy of the order, so.
That sounds good.
Okay. Very good. Anything else from staff?
No, we thank you for your cooperation.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Okay, Magistrate Neal, we're going to go on to, like I mentioned, number 3 on the agenda has been dismissed. Number 4, FMBH LLC, again, a violation of the sea turtle conservation. They are working towards compliance as well. Number 5, EM Shopping Center, Inc. Again, the violation is the sea turtle conservation regulations. They are also working towards compliance. Number 6, Allen Towers Condo Association, they have been brought into compliance. And number 7, Beta Beach Association, again, all of these are violations of our sea turtle conservation regulations. That has been continued as they are working towards compliance as well. And with that, we are at the end of our agenda.
All right. If there's nothing further for the good of the order, then I will adjourn this hearing of the,
Mr. Magistrate.
yes, sir.
And staff would ask, or town would ask or I ask on behalf of the town, that when you explain the process, which I appreciate that you did that, you maybe add a comment that if a property owner is found in violation, that pursuant to the statute and the code, it's their responsibility to contact staff for reinspection. Because one of the issues that we've had, and certainly not unique to Fort Myers Beach, but a lot of times here when they come back, unfortunately for lien certification, we start getting into that discussion. Well, I came into compliance, 4 weeks ago, and did you ask for a reinspection? I didn't know I had to, and even though it states so in the order, we try at every opportunity that we have, and certainly would I think be received even more by the property owners, is if you were to say, hey, it's your responsibility to ask for that reinspection. Staff's not going to be tracking you down to see if you come into compliance.
Glad to do that. And what I normally would do when I'm issuing the order from the dais is, as I read the terms of the order, I also tell them that it's their responsibility to notify staff and
Okay.
All that. So I will add it to my opening remarks so that whoever's found in violation, they'll get it at least twice. So.
We also forgot to swear in our people today, so.
Well, no one testified except
Yeah.
for the
Yeah, so he's still here.
Yeah, but I'll state for the record that the respondent was sworn, and he has affirmed that all of his testimony was true and correct.
It's like being married again, yeah. With that, I think we are
adjourned.
finished, so.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah, and it, as just noted.
yeah.
I mean, the restrictions will be there. If you're in compliance, then there's no need to go through the whole thing of mailing the order and all that, so.
All right, thank you.
Very good, thank you.